Good evening, VV Nation. Happy Tuesday. Now, I did a video a couple weeks ago. Tilray, the news that the Trump administration wants to reclassify marijuana, cannabis, those types of items, right? The stocks, they went bananas off that news. I did a video covering Tilray, and my advice was let that dust settle. And if you want to accumulate positions, assume risk, because these are marijuana stocks, let's be honest here. But wait for the next move. Wait for the next push. Well, I see the news coming out today. The Trump administration going all in when it comes to reclassifying marijuana. Even today mentioning its benefits for senior citizens. Now, I'm not here to get in that debate, but I am here to tell you these stocks, they're moving. So we're going to jump right into the healthcare marijuana industry. Take a look at the chart. Stay on the right side of this trend. Of course, we're going to take a look at Tilray. But on top of that, we're going to take a look at some of the other top marijuana healthcare stocks in the VectorVest 7 system, so that way you can stay on the right side of this trade. VV Nation, it is my pleasure to let you know that our offers that we had over this past weekend at the 2-day investment seminar in Las Vegas, we're going to extend those offers out. So if you want the best prices on financial guidance anywhere, check us out at vectorvest.com/offers. Sign up now as you have until October 6th to take advantage of these special deals. All right, we're in the VectorVest 7 software. The first thing I want to point out is the industry. Want to know how the industry is moving as a whole right now? This is looking at the healthcare marijuana industry with all the stocks we're tracking right now. Look what we're seeing. This green line, 200-day moving average. We're looking at rejection several times right at this 200-day moving average. Now, if you did get into some of these healthcare marijuana positions, when I did the video, most likely you got a little bit of a cushion with that, right? But stay on the alert because right now we are getting confirmation of that rejection. Even with today, the industry coming down to 1.3. So for some real confirmation to the upside and for a real potential for breakouts, the industry as a whole, I want to see this price action get above the 200-day moving average. Because if I look at the forecasted data, look, growth rate 3%, sales growth rate negative 7%, earnings per share is negative, moving in the right direction, but still negative. A lot of risk in this space. That's why I'm mostly here, for my momentum traders, for my active traders. But I will say this. Don't be scared to take some profits because you see RT relative timing looks at the short-term price trend. As long as this number is below 1, the favor is with the bears, right? So don't be afraid to take some profits. And the confirmation I'm looking for, again, price action get above the 200-day moving average. So now let's take a look at Tilray and some other healthcare marijuana stocks that should be on your radar. Now, the breaking news of the Trump administration trying to utilize, these healthcare marijuana stocks, cannabinoids, whatever you want to call it, for senior citizens or the elderly. Interesting, right? Nonetheless, look at Tilray. This stock jumped up a bunch yesterday based off that news. What is it doing? Pulling back today, right? I talked about this in the last Tilray video, right? Don't chase the news. After the news, these stocks like to, let the dust settle. That's when you can accumulate and get a good dollar cost average and wait on the next news event, right? Think about it. We're waiting on Trump. Trump talks a lot on camera. Probably ain't going to take too long, right? It only took about a month for the last time to this time. So again, let the trade come to you. Don't chase the trade. Now, what I will say, this stock, the reason why it was on my radar before, look at the valuation, $1.06. When I did the video, the stock was around $1, right? It was slightly undervalued to fairly valued depending on what it was trading around that time. Fundamentally, not there. Very risky, right? So the only thing you got going for this right now is you had some value, but now the news has pushed that premium up, right? Investors are willing to pay a premium for the stock based on the news. So right now we're just left with the trend, RT relative timing, 0 to 2. Above 1, the bulls are in favor, right? Below 1, the bears are in favor. If I scroll over to the right, look at the forecasted data. Negative on sales and negative on earnings. So again, I'm not getting in the stock based on, any kind of great forecasted data. This was a value play, which now is no longer a value play. The premium is in. And on top of that, we're sticking to the technicals. That's what RT is telling me. So let's take a look at this chart before we take a look at some of these other healthcare marijuana stocks. All right, Tilray, here's the chart. Again, green line, 200-day moving average. What did we get? We got the break on that, right? I was just on the YouTube channel. I saw the video, said 1 month ago, and I knew the price action was around $1. So it's going to be this day here that I did, well, technically this day I did the video that evening, but for the following day, the momentum went to the upside. You see the price action jumped, right? But again, after the news, typically you get a little bit of a breather, right? Between this dip and this dip. This is a nice retest on that 20-day EMA. But again, look, we got more news and the stock takes off once again. Now, one thing I am looking here, and I see pretty interesting, if I use a freehand line, if I connect these, right? If we get some momentum breaking out of yesterday's candlestick, we break that high and we get some real parabolic momentum, continue this line, look for resistance. If price action makes it up to this trend line, I would not be surprised if that was the case. But right now we're seeing indecision in the price action of the stock, right? Again, when I did the video, the stock was around $1 and we can see value creeping in there right now, 1.06. What I do like though, look at the earnings per share also ticking up right now, right? Now I get it. This legislation could be a game changer for a lot of these companies and could definitely improve the fundamentals along with the forecasted data of these companies. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But right now I'm going to stick to the technicals. And one other thing I am seeing here, if I use a freehand line, what do we see here? Ascending channel, right? Pretty close to an ascending channel. So just be careful of that, right? You don't want to be buying at the top of the channel. You'd rather be a buyer towards the lower end of the channel. So try to have some patience. Let the trade come to you. Again, this is a very parabolic stock right now, going from about 40 cents not long ago, now reaching a high over $1.80. So let's jump into some of these other marijuana stocks, see if there's any potential with some of these positions. All right, these are the 5 stocks I got for you. You can see here 124 stocks we're tracking the VectorVest 7 system. These 5, the reason why we're looking at these, VST, overall value, safety, and timing. You can see just with the bunch here, RVRS, fundamental indicators, this industry, not very strong when it comes to fundamental analysis, but the trend is there. If we take a look at RT, all of these stocks showing a lot of momentum to the upside, right? And some of these stocks here, look, RV above 1, this one here is RV above 1, and High Tide's RV above 1. So a bit less speculative than Tilray, the stock I just presented you. As well, look at some of the forecasted data here. Sales growth rate, earnings growth rate, positive numbers, double digits. So these are not bad stocks to have on your radar. Again, while these stocks take a breather. So let's take a look at the charts and see if they're making sense. Now, the first thing I'm going to notice here is just like Tilray, look at the valuation creeping up, right? Growth rate and earnings, turnaround story, earnings per share increasing, sales growth rate, turnaround story. So this might just be a good time to, maybe tiptoe in this industry if you haven't already, because we're seeing some of the fundamentals improve in recent months, right? Other than that, look, nice pivot off the 20-day EMA, but you can see accumulation around the 20-day EMA. Pretty good idea, right? We're not that far from the 20-day EMA right now. Fresh buy rating, momentum to the upside. I actually like this stock quite a bit. And with the VectorVest analysis, not a bad marijuana stock to get into. Here's Kronos Group, undervalued. Nice. But look, yesterday, jumped off the news, big upper wick. Again, don't chase it on the news. Wait for the next day on these marijuana stocks or, the next week, right? Let the trade make sense. Now, one thing I will say here about this position, if I use a horizontal line, you can see the consolidation here, right? Consolidation, nice retest on that consolidation. We got the breakout, wanted to retest it pretty quick. I actually do like that pivot shaping up. See if we get confirmation tomorrow. Maybe taking out today's high would not be a bad idea. Or a little bit more confirmation. Let's take out this little body from 2 days ago. Not a bad idea, right? But look at the forecasted data. 30%, 21% on the sales. Earnings per share is actually positive. So fundamentally, not a bad stock, right? Especially for marijuana stock. Now here we've got TrueLeaf Cannabis Corp, overvalued, but again, nice pivot off that 20-day EMA. And that pivot was actually yesterday, went all the way back down there, buying pressure there. I do like this, not as much as the other stock though. Look, growth rate earnings 7%, sales growth rate 0%, right? Especially if you're thinking of this for the long term. I'd like to get in something with a little bit better forecasted data. But as far as the momentum trade there, let's just take out yesterday's high. Not necessarily a bad trade. Here's Aurora Cannabis, undervalued. I do like that. You can see the resistance coming in from the prior swing high, the body of the candlestick stopping right at this level here. So this is going to be my resistance zone. We got about 640 on the top end, on the bottom around 619, right? So either you could hope it comes back down to this 20-day EMA, or if I use a little horizontal line, we might have a nice retest level here. Otherwise, if you want confirmation to the upside, just take out this resistance zone. Not a bad idea getting confirmation on such volatile news-driven stocks. Now, as I continue to scroll down, this is the last stock here, High Tide, I mean, nice momentum to the upside. I like how we have a strong buy rating, not very choppy here. Now, I will say the stock's overvalued. Growth rate and earnings dropping, but still 35%. Sales growth rate, 13%. Yes, I do like the turnaround story jump from 6% now into double digits, but ideally I want sales growth rate to outpace earnings growth rate. Now I realize in these marijuana stocks, you may not get all the attributes that you want, but some of these stocks are demonstrating a lot of the attributes you want in a good stock, right? For example, this one, rising earnings per share, right? So not a bad stock, just a little overvalued. Now just going through these 5 here, I do like this trade setup here. Again, just looking for the confirmation, whether the retest or the breakout on top. As far as this position here, I do like that retest yesterday. Let's just take out yesterday's high for that confirmation to the upside. This Chronos group definitely got my attention because not only did we fill the gap, we're actually retesting the top end of that channel. So again, I just want a nice pivot of confirmation come tomorrow or the following day. But the stock's undervalued. So this is actually gonna be one of my top picks in this list. Otherwise, Sundial, not a bad thing. Look at the value. I know it's overvalued, but because the value is rising so quickly, it does give me optimism for the future. Not only that, look, it's a turnaround story in the forecasted data. We were negative in both categories, earnings and sales, but now positive, right? So again, just want to put some great stocks on your radar. Again, these are news driven, very volatile, very speculative plays. So just make sure you're on the right side of the trade and don't become a bag holder. Now, if you enjoyed tonight's video, hit the like button. If you're new and you enjoyed it, hey, hit the subscribe button and I'll see you guys tomorrow night.